Hello, friends. Have you heard of Star Wars The Dark Hunter? Me either. No, I'm just kidding. My name is Jason. I'm the artist, colorist, letterer, editor, and publisher of Star Wars The Dark Hunter, the biggest Star Wars fan comic that is on the internet. 215 pages at this time, and I've been working on it for the past 3 years. It's available to read free on Webtoons. I've been doing a lot of artwork videos, instruction, some coloring videos, explanations how I do things. But this is one thing that people really, don't really concentrate very much on is the post-production, quote-unquote, aspect of the Webtoon comic. So in this episode, today I'm going to go through how to get your Webtoon comic published on Webtoon. And it's just basically formatting and getting it ready. So the first thing I do is I'll break out my iPad where I do all my coloring in Procreate. And I'll go through there and see if there's any extra pages that I've colored that need to be uploaded still. So I take all my colored pages and I will upload them directly to my Google Drive. Okay, you can do this right from the application itself, and it's very easy to do. You don't have to save all your art on your iPad and then upload it later or email it to yourself. You definitely can do that. But my philosophy is I want to use the Google Drive as a big holding pin for all my artwork. And just in case something happens to the computer, I've got backups online, etc., etc. So it's like I'm gonna put my artwork in the safe first, and then later I'm gonna go back to my PC and then go to that safe and take the artwork out of there, download it. It comes downloaded in a zip file that the Google Drive will make for you when it downloads. If you're downloading more than one file, you bring it in. I have a designated folder for all my finished artwork. I'll bring it in there. I will extract the zip file, and then it has its own folder now, and it lives temporarily on my computer. Okay, so I got backups to the backups, and I even have the original on the iPad that I can also have saved on a smaller drive. So make sure you keep your stuff nice and organized for this process. One of the other things I did before producing this video was I did some lettering in Corel Draw. All 5 pages of this particular episode are already lettered. I had 3 pages that were done already in color, and so those were lettered on top of the colored pages, but I had 2 that were still being worked on when I was doing the lettering, basically finalizing the script on top of the artwork. So in lieu of the colored pages coming in, I insert the black and white artwork and then kind of overlay it with a color. Since most speech bubbles are white, it makes it easy to see, to have some kind of contrast on the page rather than just looking at a black and white environment with black and white text on top of it. At this point, I bring in those files into Corel Draw. My setup in Corel Draw is kind of basic. I'll go through in another video when I'm talking about lettering, etc. But for today, all you got to know is I have a very bottom layer that I call the images layer. And that's where all the images go, basically. I've got my shapes layer on top, and on top of that, the text layer. So I can make editing and importing and exporting and different things happen in a more orderly fashion. So I'll bring in the colored pages and insert them on the bottom images layer underneath all the text and the text boxes and the special effects. So I'll have all 5 pages open up in Corel Draw, which I can flip through them, in any order, and be able to double check the text and make sure it all makes sense. And so I go back and do a little bit of editing, resizing some of the text, making some minor changes, adjusting the balloons. One time I import one of the finished artworks, and as it appears against a white background instead of a dark gray background, I notice that the gutters aren't entirely white. So I'll take this page and I'm going to import it into Photoshop and then work on it there, and just basically select the gutters, desaturate them, make them white, however you do it, and then save that image again. I'll delete it in Corel and then re-import it straight out of the folders. And now it looks all good. Once it's in there, I'm going to size it down to the right size. Then I have the snap set to guidelines, and so I can always snap to guidelines and objects. Snaps to the board real easy, and it'll fit right in place. I'll have all the pages for that episode will be open up, and I can click in between each page and look at it critically. I go through and make some last minute lettering adjustments. I decide that I don't want speech bubbles, traveling outside of the box, so I do some adjusting with these. So now that all 4 or 5 pages, I think it's 5. I think all 5 pages here look good. So then I'm going to create the vertical Webtoons page. So I create everything in like standard comic book format. So one day if I want to make a comic book out of it, I can always do that. But for now, the digital publishing method I'm choosing is the Webtoons format, which is, as you know, is just a big vertical scroll. It's only 800 pixels wide with however many thousand you can go down. There's only a file size limit, not really a length of the vertical limit. So I'm taking to the Webtoons format. So I have a special Webtoon file that I whip out. Sometimes I just copy the previous episode and save as, change the number on it, and open it up, delete the old files. That's kind of what I did here. And I'm just gonna start to have the 5 pages open already. I'm going to unlock the image layer and get rid of anything that I don't want to copy and paste over. But I'm just gonna select everything and paste it, select everything and paste it onto the Webtoons format, and I'm gonna size it up the length of my black bar. The certain Corel document is set up for pixels, not inches. So it's 800 pixels wide, but the rendering for me to view it is at 300 dpi, just so I can see what I'm doing. So I'll just drag that black box down as far as I need it to go, just to give me a workboard that's expandable and retractable. Instead of trying to set it at a certain length for that episode, each time I just take the same file and stretch out kind of my artboard, if you would call it that, and make it the right length each time. Sometimes, instead of just copy and pasting American comic book pages into a Webtoons format, it can be kind of hard to read sometimes, or you realize that with Webtoons you can control the pace. Like a couple times I've uploaded episodes where each individual panel was just, they're stacked on top of each other, and the words are floating around, and it's just so you can control the pace so people aren't just skimming through the page, etc., which I think the tendency is to do sometimes when you're regularly reading comic books. So this particular section, I'm going to take one of the pages and split it up into panels, and have the panels just kind of diced out over the black background, just to kind of control the pace, and also to make the text bigger for this particular segment. The white lettering on the red background is kind of hard to read sometimes in this small format, so I'm making this one bigger so that the focus is also on this big bad evil guy that is intimidating people on this FaceTime call, basically is what it is. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm taking the exact same JPEG, duplicating it, and just moving the shape, using the shape tool. I'm taking the same JPEG, I'm duplicating it and using the shape tool, or hitting F10, and using the shape tools to reshape like a window that I can look at the page through, and just making the window the same size as each panel, and moving the window over this invisible page that's there now. And it's kind of trip how it works. But then I'm also taking the select tool and able to size that particular section that's cut out to fit where I need it to be. And I will take the text as a group, size it, fit it, and make sure it looks just like the original, so we know who's talking to who. In this case, it's just one guy talking, so it's not that hard to do. And I don't even know the exact point font that it ends up being. I never really checked. It's more like how it looks visually. If I wanted to produce a purely Webtoon comic, I could probably just take it's 800 by 1200 size image in Photoshop and just draw directly onto that, and that's my panels, and just drop them in one at a time to make an episode. But those aren't really the chops that I want. I don't want to be just a Webtoon artist. I want this to translate into normal comic books someday as a side job, or a retirement career, I guess you could say. Probably a side job, who knows. So that's what I'm doing here. But then once I've got it the right length and everything, there's some touch-ups I got to do. I got to change the episode, the part number, and then there's always the introductory paragraph. It's kind of like my version of the scroll, without having to try and do graphic design and make a scroll every single time. I just have some blocky yellow text on top of black that kind of explains what's going on there. So once I've got it exactly the way I want it, and I'm ready to export it into a super tall JPEG, hit the Control E and export it, and find my folder. I have a special folder called Lettered Pages, and this has all my Webtoons exported. So this one I exported. I've been doing this differently. Instead of losing maybe some resolution, I'm exporting it as a high resolution, like 200 to 300 dpi, and then taking it into Photoshop as a secondary step, and using maybe the Photoshop reduction engine to produce more of a lossless quality to it rather than kind of a grainy thing produced by CorelDRAW. Sometimes CorelDRAW JPEGs that I produce also have a 1 pixel white border on one side. So I take it into Photoshop and make sure that's not there as well, and shorten the file size and restretch it back up to 800 dpi. But anyways, the last time I export it is at 72 dpi, 800 pixels wide, which is the format you have to upload to Webtoons. But that's not it. Part of the drama here is that with Webtoons, you can't upload one huge long file. You have to have only 800 by 1200 tiles that you slap into place. So there's a website called Croppy. I'll put Croppy in the description there. It's a very helpful. You just browse. It doesn't take any software. You just go to this web page. You browse to the file you want. It uploads it, and it automatically cuts it into bite-sized bits that is friendly for Webtoons. It also will label and number each tile so that when you select all and drag and drop it into Webtoons on your dashboard when you're creating a new episode, this will all the tiles will fall in order and have a seamless scroll up and down when you finally upload it. Okay, so I've created my auxiliary folder on my desktop in the upload section for upload, and I'll bring the zip file that I've created on the Croppy website and save it in there, extract it all, make a new folder for it, and I'm ready for that to upload. Now that I think I have everything in order to start uploading, I need to go to my Webtoons creator page and then go to my dashboard and create a new episode. But I forgot, I also need a thumbnail for the episode. So what I like to do is I'll go to the completed pages and my downloaded artwork folder, the artwork that I download from Google. I'll go to that folder and I'll click on the episode and open up my picture viewer, and I'll just scroll side to side and see if there's a good headshot in there that will fit inside a square really easily. So there's a picture here of Captain, I think is Tak Shem, and he's a communications guy at the security for Terrace, the planet Terrace. So he's got the best headshot I think I could find on the whole thing, so he's going to be the thumbnail. I open up the snipping tool in Windows and just get a nice square cutout. I have a Photoshop file called Episode Thumb Maker. I open it up. It's got they have a select dimensions that they want for the episode thumbnail. I think it's just like 110 by 100. It's not exactly a square, but it's got to be 72 dpi and an exact dimension, and then also a certain limit on the megabytes. So this thumbnail maker helps me make that thumbnail. I just click and drag the snip file, the JPEG, in there, and size it in to the artboard box in Photoshop. It automatically, everything is cropped out. And I hit save, and then I hit save as JPEG, and I've got my episode thumbnail made. Okay, so we'll go to the website, and I'll put my folder right on top of the browser. I will click and I'll select. I'll put my. I then select all the files that are in that folder, and drag and drop them into the space provided. It automatically populates everything in order. I'll take my episode thumbnail, I will click and drag that into the episode thumbnail box, and that's done. I'll make up a quick name for the episode and check out the preview. I think everything looks right. One last editing read before I publish. If I think there's no mistakes, it's pretty good. I have caught a couple at this phase. I've even published an episode and went and read through it myself, and all the text was missing. Always double, triple, quadruple check everything before you go live. I have the option to put this publish at a later date. Webtoons will let you publish one episode at a time. So if you had 3 done, you can upload one and then start the upload process with the other 2, but set them for later dates to go up maybe 2-3 days later to keep everybody in suspense. I write a little blurb in the box as well. I'm kind of sarcastic, snarky, don't have a lot of stuff to say, so I just will write whatever. So when I think all the ducks are in a row, all the kittens have been herded, it's time to publish my episode. I hit publish, hit OK, and I'm good to go. Then the masses get to enjoy yet another episode of Star Wars The Dark Hunter. Well, that's it. That's my quote-unquote post-production process. Going through, getting my good artwork, my line artwork, my color artwork, and my pre-lettered pages, and posting it up on Webtoons. Someday I'll do a whole how-to on how to letter with CorelDRAW and how to color comics. There's a bunch of that stuff. I'm always focusing on the production stuff, like the artwork, how to color and do all these things. Probably seen those. I have live streams when I do this live, etc., but nothing ever on this end. So if you're curious about uploading to Webtoons, it's a great little format. There's a huge audience over there, and it'll be a great time. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Thank you.